Today we're going to learn about Boolean operators used in an if-else if. So let me explain this program that I created. The name of it is Money for Grades. So if your parents are generous and you get good grades on your report card, this program will determine if the grade is worthy enough to get a bonus, and if it is worthy to get a reward, it will add up all the rewards, and when it's done entering how many grades you have on your report card, it will total your reward and show it in a currency format. So because we want to use user input, we have to use the import statement for the scanner. And because we want the final total rewards to be printed as currency, we also had to import our number format program, as you can see on line 1 and 2. Now, so here we also needed objects from other classes. So we created our scanner object, and we created our dollars object. Now here's all our variables that we're using today. Private string letter grade, it's the letter grade you're going to enter. It's got to be a string because it's A minus, B plus, B minus, and so on. Private string are generous. This determines if the parents, are you going to get a reward or not? Private int number grades, this is how many grades you have on your report card. Not everybody has 6. Some of you are taking 8 classes, so you might have 8. And private double grade reward, this is how much you get for a particular letter grade. And private double total reward. So here's our constructor, which we're setting number of grades to 0, and total reward and grade reward to 0. So we start off our program with a question. Enter the number of grades on your report card. So that number will go into number grades, and now, like in other for loops, we're going to create a for loop that will go through, loop through however many number grades you say. So for int index starts at 0. That's initializing the local variable called index. Then we're going to check index against num grades. And then we're going to increment it up one at a time. This line does not get a semicolon. Enter, open squiggle bracket, enter, close squiggle bracket, end for loop. This will help us keep things straight. Now, once in our for loop, we have to determine what the letter grade is. So ask for the letter grade. All right. So system dot out dot print enter a letter grade. All right, so we're going to put this letter grade in letter grade. Scan.next. Clear our keyboard. All right, so we got our letter grade. Now we have to determine, will your parents give you a reward? I've determined with this program that you're only going to get a reward if you get an A or a B. So I'm going to ask, is it an A or a B? And notice I've kind of prompted them to how I want them to answer, to prevent people from answering, oh yeah, something silly like that. So R generous equals scan dot next, and then clear the keyboard. All right, so the user answers yes or no, and now we're going to determine how much reward they get based on whether they answer yes or no or not. So I need an if statement. If R generous dot equals ignore case, in case they do lowercase, yes, open squiggle bracket, oops, open squiggle bracket, enter, enter, close squiggle bracket. All right, so in my if statement, I'm going to convert, so the person says yes, so they get an A or B. So I'm going to convert an A or an A minus to a certain reward. So I determined for the sake of this example of this program, since we're using Boolean operators for or, I'm going to reward an A and an A minus the same amount. All right, so if letter grade dot equals ignore case an A, all right, or, now you get these two vertical bars by pushing shift and the button directly above the return button. These two vertical bars in Java mean or. So if the letter grade equals ignore case an A, or the letter grade dot equals ignore case an A minus, then our reward, our grade reward, they get, I don't know, how much should they get? $10. Woohoo! All right. So they're going to get $10 if they have an A or an A minus. That's pretty generous. All right. Else if, so I'm going to copy this, all right, because I'm going to copy this because I'm lazy. Our letter grade is a B plus, or it's a B shift, or if the letter grade dot equals ignore case is a B minus, then my grade value, reward value, is only going to be $5. Else, the grade reward is going to be 0. So if you don't get an A or an A minus, or you don't get a B plus, B or B minus, you won't get anything. All right? Now, this resets, every time we cycle through this, this resets the grade reward to 0 for every grade that is not an A or B, but they say yes. So what happens if they're trying to game the system and they get a C on the report card and they say yes? Well, if we haven't reset the grade reward as this thing is cycling, let's say the first one is an A, they get a 10. So sitting inside grade reward is 10. So it cycles through the next grade and they get a C. But the person responds yes to the question. Are they generous? It'll enter the if, else, if. And if we haven't reset grade reward to 0, then after our if statement here, go to the end, this is where we're going to add things up. So total reward is plus equal grade reward all right, line 75, if I could spell reward correctly, line 75 totals up all the rewards every time this cycles through. But like I was saying before, if they're gaming the system and they got a C, but the previous reward was $10 and we haven't overwritten it with a 0 yet, then it will actually add up that extra $10. And when we run this, we'll demonstrate that. Okay? So now, after we're done with the if statement and we've added everything up, and we're done with our loop, we want to print our how much we got. So system.out.println, I'm going to go down a line, I'm going to bump it down, total reward concatenate. Now we got our money currents object dollars dot format, and inside here we go put in our total reward. Okay, so let's compile it, see if we have any errors. No errors. Now let's run it through its paces and see if it works. We're going to run it. All right, enter the number of grades on your report card. I'm going to run it with 3. All right, first letter grade is an A. Is the grade an A or B? Hopefully, if I got an A, hopefully I'm smart enough to answer yes. If I answer no, then maybe I shouldn't have gotten an A. All right, and our letter grade, I got a C. Now, first we're going to do it right. C doesn't get a reward. Third letter grade is a B. Okay, we're going to check B. So, how much should they get? It should be $10 and $5. The reward should be $15 if the program is working. Total reward is $15. All right, so now we're going to try to break it. All right, so we're going to run it again. 3 grades. First one's an A. Yes. Grade's a C. We're going to say yes. See if it adds up anything. And then a B. And that's a yes. So here I'm gaming it. Even though I know that C is not an A or B, I still say yes to see if it's going to give me a reward. And I still get $15. So it made sure that it did not add anything. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go back and we're going to change the program. We're going to clear this. Right here, we're just going to put 2 slashes. Bam, bam. So that's now can't be seen. So we're going to compile it. Everything's fine. But now I can game the system. All right, how many grades? 3. First one's an A. This is a yes. Second one's a C. I'm going to say yes. Now remember, $10 is sitting in grade reward right now, and it hasn't been reset to 0 yet. Last one's a B, and this is a yes. We get $10. So somehow it only added 10 in there. All right, so let's get rid of that. And now this guy is important. So when it cycles through, you should get it. And we'll try one more time. Oh, how about 3 B's? So 3 B's, a B, a yes, a B, a yes, and a B, and a yes. And we get $15 like we should have, so it works. So just to show you one more time, if, else if, when you have 2 conditions that's going to receive the same executable code, you use an OR. So if this is not an A, it will check to see if it's an A minus. These both have to be false to be skipped over. If one of them is true, this if statement is true, which means it'll drop down to this line of executable code and execute it. So in this case, all you need is 1 true. You don't need both to be true, just 1 true. But if they're both false, like in this line, if we have a C, C is not a B plus, a C is not a B, and a C is not a B minus, so all 3 of them are false. So this line 71 would be skipped, and it'll go drop down to line 73 and set the reward to 0.